Everyone is lonely these days. At least so says the statistics and my very own eyes. The polarizing nature of culture has ripped community apart with little guidance on how to go about amends with anyone or anything. But long before this crippling isolation seeped into the wider world at large, I had already been deeply marked by alienation. As a child, I remained autistically masked, white passing, and untransitioned. Yet, very early on, I was marked as an outsider and remained silently marked every day, every hour, every minute since. I haven't had the fucks for bitterness in a very long time. It simply remained a fundamental in my ongoing living. People can still tell I'm different just from talking to me for a few moments, and that will never change. I am statistically and psychologically unusual, and that will mean that the average person will remain average, statistically speaking, and I will remain not. And thus, a separation for all of time, presumably. With the boon of growth and maturity, I have been able to sift out what it is about me that drives people away so consistently. The root of it appears to be that I'm intelligent. Too intelligent. I am no eidetic memory calculator, and certainly have no grand gifts to grant to society. But I have a knack for getting to the bottom of things, and little patience for delusion. Good for logic and truth, yes, but this habit of thought has set me far ahead of my peers in personal development and general understanding of the world. To be clear, this is not a flex. This is not me tooting a horn for myself. I touched the fabric of the world when I was far too young and returned to find my thoughts incommunicable to others. This often took the form of sitting in my room, staring at the ceiling, and genuinely trying to figure things out. From a religious lens, from an educational lens, from just raw logic, seeing what stuck, seeing what didn't make sense. And that pattern loops upon itself and has continued, eventually landing me where I am today. I don't feel intelligent. Other people seem dull. And it's not out of pessimistic presumption, but repeated surprise and disappointment. I'll often be getting along famously with someone, really quite enjoying myself, and then hit a wall where their mind simply seems to end. Their inner world stretches no further. And I'm left to sit and listen, always listening to what others have to say. And after a while, all conversations blend together into just a handful of painfully predictable sets. I listen to someone absolutely torn to shreds about a problem they're having, something destroying their life and genuinely disrupting their sense of identity. And it'll be a problem I figured out for myself before I hit 13. I listen to emotional dysfunction, poor choices, toxic relationships, lack of passion, even a lack of life itself. I do like listening to people. I always have. It's how I have learned as much as I have, to be honest. And I hope to continue to listen as kindly and patiently as possible. That said, everyone around me seems a corpse, all tossed in a sea of stress and confusion. The spark of being alive that burns so terribly and hungrily bright inside me is jarringly absent in so many other people. And those that do kindle some heat of their own have so little of it. I want to be there for you. I love you. I care about you. How can I possibly believe those promises when the lips that utter them are blue, as if a corpse or a stone? They want to return to me the fantastic momentum I gave them, but when I open my mouth to speak what I am, their faces contort into confusion or shut down, lost in assumptions that don't apply. I am simply an alien walking amongst my peers. This is an issue most severe with people across cultures and generations, but it extends to people my age, my racial demographic, my education level, everything. I've been called selfish, stubborn, cold, fanatical, naive, unstable, and blunt. Often by the same people who, in the past, had described me as altruistic, flexible, tender, level-headed, wise, or kind. I don't think reputations are useless. Far from it. I, in fact, have made several schema which I sort people into when I see them. That's human nature, and to ignore it is folly. But I have noticed that I don't seem to fall into any category. There isn't one that people can easily put me into. And trying to do so for the sake of sanity often means I'm put in the wrong box. And the things I say, the way I say them, my pitfalls, my louder aspects, the less refined bits of me get misinterpreted in other areas as intention, as selfishness or cruelty. That's just not the case. This is when I realized something was wrong. After I started really comparing other people and myself to them. I'd long since avoided such a thing, as I didn't want to be unkind. I didn't want to be unfair. Nor did I want to hurt myself against them. You know, don't compare yourself to others. As an artist, this is an important skill. But when raw socialization is in the picture, it proved to be exactly what I needed. People's stories of me just don't match up. The wrong box every time. Yes, I'm well aware that everyone has several facets and several reputations, but trust me when I say this was to a baffling degree. Truly baffling. The little errors, they add up. The little wrong categorizations, the misunderstandings, they stack. Even within the same person, the idea of what I am ends up in conflict with itself, or has to change so radically, it may as well be a different person altogether. This ended up being a nail in the coffin when my former lover, one who I spoke to rawly and for days on end, judged me. In a common manner, but with a lot of, how shall I say, high stakes. She judged me to be specifically weak to peer pressure. An absolutely fascinating conclusion, considering the fact that I have been thoroughly ousted from any sort of group which may induce peer pressure, besides a few I've cultivated myself. And I very often express a distinct dislike for normative thinking, to the degree that I will, for the sake of safe, quick decisions, often choose to take an alternate route until I can assure that the normative one is in fact worthy of being normative. This assumption she made, aside from the personal nature of it and what it did to my relationship, put me on a wicked path of self-exploration. A level of it I hadn't engaged in since I was quite young, about 12, I think. Self-exploration, not just learning new things or addressing my faults, but entirely questioning one of the fundamentals I had taken to comfortably resting on to get me through daily living. This peer of mine, this brilliant and creative person who had seen me in thick and thin, who I had cried on, who I had cradled, had entirely missed the point of what I am. Could anyone see me? I ran experiments, entering conversations only to go silent halfway through. Almost no one noticed. They just sort of went on. The mere idea of me being there was simply enough for them. Just a presence, a warm body. And those that did ask about my quiet were so easily placated by nonsense answers that didn't explain anything. They would ask, "How are you?" And I'd say, "Oh, I'm just distracted by this." And they would move on. No one dug. No one sought. No one picked apart. No one dove to where the light does not touch. The roiling landscape of my mind, that expansive, populated place that had been growing in nuance and flavor since I was a child, seemed to simply not exist outside of me. It didn't even occur to other people that it might be there. People I tried to show it to share it with, to build it with. I seriously questioned if I was even real, if I was a tree crumbling in the forest that made no sound. I am real. My current partner has promised me that. She is restless. She does ask. She knows that deep caverns do exist. It's because of her that I have remained sane at all. Because she has her own sprawling inner universe that speaks to itself and its world. And when we met the first couple times, I told her that I wanted to know her. And she decided she wanted to know me. And in that glimpse of what could be, my eyes were opened to all that is not. Every person I talk to is a creature that needs something from me. The energy of my movement, the knowledge I keep. Everything I am is a resource that other people crave and cannot return. So, as I cry to my lover in a long car ride, I finally speak out loud all the horrible things I have realized. She nods. She knows this. After prodding, she confirms that it is simply because of what I am. And she knew because she had died the same death many times. She, of all the people in the world, is not so different from me, for once. To this day, she seems the only one who can really grasp what it is that I am. And without that anchor, I probably would have just dissolved. Even with her arms to hide in, though, I still find myself absurdly anxious and deeply off-put by other people. Since I've started thinking about this, realizing how deep it runs and how pervasive the pattern is, I find it hard to talk to people at all. I tried long and hard to find loved ones like her, a family even, but it's just her, a woman a decade and a half older than me, by the way, and definitely one of those computer-brained textbook geniuses. I didn't think I was in her league when we first met, but, well, leagues don't really apply here. I know I can't be everything for her, just as people fall short for me, but there is enough. We challenge each other. We seek to understand, and do understand when it's given, and that is enough. For now. I can't live in one room forever, though. I still have to go outside to see other people, to talk to them. I still have to confront those who excitedly want to be my friend, and I will be polite. I will be kind. I will give them what they need insofar as I have to spare. But I know they will not see me. At the end of the day, I will be a warm body, or a great artist, or a good thinker, perhaps a kind friend, but not much more than that. My face is a mask, regardless of how I introduce myself, or how deeply I try to describe my thoughts. My face will always be a mask. Why am I telling this sad tale at all, anyway? It's not for attention. I don't really like attention because it's never correct. It's not fulfilling. And I'm burned out on it anyway. I really don't want to be praised or pitied, let alone argued with or talked down to. I'm here as a last-ditch effort to keep my head in one piece. That's it. I don't even need anyone to listen. I just need to speak where it can theoretically be heard without eyebrows to keep track of, and small talk, and body language, and assumptions, and hierarchies, and anyway. I'm here to vent and to collect myself, to try and give all those tiny little pieces a shape again. And if someone happens to run across this and find solace or entertainment in my madman's ramblings, then merry day. Good for them. I just need a little corner of reality where I can be real, where I can be free to breathe on my own, at my own pace, and to know that I am not just noise with some overlapping patterns. For I am real, and I have so many colors that beg to be painted with, whether I'm able or not. So cheers to the travelers, the students, the doubters, and the dreamers. May we all find a place where the hum of our hearts finds no dissonance for once.